What's up, Olly?
Hey Joey, how are you?
All good, man.
Yeah,
How's the temperature over there?
yeah, it's horrible, man. Like in this office room right now, trying to work on music, I just cannot concentrate. I'm just sitting sweating, man. It's so bad. I don't have air conditioning, so
Yeah.
yeah.
I
Uh,
don't I never like to have air conditioning in the studio because you always have that little zoom in the background, you know?
yeah, but the thing is, for me, like I'm literally producing with these headphones on all the time.
Which ones are them?
These are the V Moda.
Okay.
These are what people use to DJ, right?
Yeah.
But I've never been one to like splash out on like hardware, like speakers, like headphones. I spend a lot of my money on VSTs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And over the years, I've really learned to get the mix right in these headphones. So I'm extremely scared to change. I'm scared to change from the PRK Rockets. So yeah, I'm a bit scared of change. So I just get used to things and
Yeah,
just
but
work.
why would you change a winning play, you know? Like if this works for you, why change?
I mean, it works, but I could have better.
Hmm.
When I've been in the studio with Blasterjacks, their studio is
Yeah,
like a
it's sick.
spaceship, man. And when I'm working on music there, I just think, damn, like this stuff would really make a difference to my
Yeah.
mix. Yeah, so I just use it with what I got at the moment, though.
Yeah,
One,
sure. We all have goals, right?
yeah, exactly. Never mind.
Yeah, but I think that a lot of producers when they get to some kind of success, they are gonna do different stuff, which changes the thing that actually got them to the success. You know?
Yeah, I mean, that's something that I always worry because I look at other people who've released on the same label as me, and they've got these big studios, they've got all this equipment,
Yeah.
and I think why am I not doing that?
Hmm.
And I think the main reason is because as a person, like when I get something and learn it, I just want to use this forever. Like I didn't update FL Studio for a long time until I physically had to.
Yeah.
Um, and I'm kind of doing myself like a disservice. I could be doing a lot better things, but yeah, I just don't like to branch out and stuff. I'm scared to try
Yeah.
new things.
You know what's the funny thing is that you probably think you can do better, but if you ask your fans, like
Yeah,
they won't hear the difference between you mixing the track on an expensive studio or on your own
that's true.
bedroom. You know?
I think like if I had a studio, I think the most important thing is the inspiration.
Mm.
I mean, I come in here when I wake up and it's the same thing all the time. I would love to have a space where I can go
Yeah.
to and be inspired. And when I leave that place, I can stop thinking
Yeah.
about music and stuff. Because right now, in the house, I'm just constantly thinking about stuff. And I would like one day somewhere where I can kind of separate the two things, like life and music. Because
Yeah.
right now it's just one big blur. So
Yeah,
yeah,
that was the same reason for me when I started renting out like a studio outside of my home. Same
yeah,
reason, like I just became this prisoner of my own home. You know, like I was
yeah.
constantly in my bedroom. Woke up,
Did you?
took on
Did
my
it?
bathrobe, went for
Yeah,
breakfast, went back upstairs.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah,
And it's the same thing like why I liked going to Holland every month because it breaks my routine.
hmm,
I've got this routine now where I wake up, I work on music, I bounce whatever I make, listen to it in the car, go to the gym, listen to it in the gym in the gym in headphones, come back, work on it some more. And yeah, it's the routine that really kind of sometimes slows me down and puts me in like a writer's block.
yeah.
Uh, I
Can
need some,
imagine. Like new environments could give you inspiration as well.
yeah, 100%, definitely.
Let's talk about that routine you're telling about because you mentioned that you are going to the Netherlands every month.
Yep.
And why is that?
Well, my manager, Joel,
Hmm.
we've been working together for years now. Bless him, he's put up with me in some bad ways, and we'll explain later on. But yeah, I go stay with him, and obviously he's the manager of Blasterjacks as well, so we're all one big team. So I get to go to the office there, sometimes use their studio, and it's just really fun because I can work with other studios, with other producers in the studio.
Yeah,
Whereas at home, if I want to collab with someone, I have to get them to send stems and stuff. But it's really cool sometimes to have the person next to you.
yeah,
I think it brings like a different edge to the track.
yeah. I can imagine. And like because you're from England,
Yeah, England.
where in England do
Newcastle.
you live?
Very close to Newcastle. So here there is no EDM scene whatsoever. It's all about tech house, which is it really makes me sad because I've never played once in England before,
Hmm.
and that's literally one of my biggest goals. Played all over the world, but never in England. And it's because the way the scene is right now.
Yeah.
And I know one day it will change, but for the moment, it's all about the house scene and the underground stuff.
Yeah, I think England always has been more like underground focused, right? Like
Yeah,
garage, dub of no, not dubstep, garage two step, those kind of things.
yeah. And then when Big Room became big, we had like 2 years of even the clubs that I go out to, they were playing Big Room in the clubs, and this is one of the reasons why I started making music because
Oh, really?
I heard Sandro Silva Epic
Mm-hmm.
in the club, and I was like, whoa, like this feel. I was just starting to drink at 18 years old, so I was like, damn, this is a vibe.
Yeah.
So that's how I got into it. And nowadays, it's just sad to see that doesn't exist.
Yeah,
But
that's too bad.
I don't think you hear Big Room in clubs anywhere really.
No, not like in the Netherlands. It's kind of the same, you know. Like over here, EDM disappeared in the clubs as well. Like you can still hear it on festivals, but I think what in the last couple of years, Dutch hip hop
Yeah,
and Dutch reggaeton kind of music, and yeah, maybe the house techno kind of culture took over.
kind of hard style as well, though, right? Hard
Yeah,
styles.
yeah. There's a big hardstyle community as well, but that's been there for like years. You know, the
Yeah,
hardstyle community. I feel like that's such a strong fan
yeah,
base. You know, like they're dedicated to the artist.
yeah,
Um, I think there's not a scene where you see more people with tattoos from artists and logos from labels, and it's so
yeah.
much dedication. You know, so I think that's a scene that will not die quickly.
Yeah, like with Big Room, it was like a lot of people jumped on, and then when it faded out, a lot of those people have jumped onto the tech house scene and
Yeah,
just jumped from thing to thing. Whereas Hardstyle's always had only the real fans, the full time.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, you had Headhunter switching 2 times, I guess, 1 time, 2 times. But that's about it, you know. The rest is just really dedicated to the music.
Yeah,
It's fun to
and we'll
see.
see. One day, Big Room might come back. That's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah,
Uh, yeah, I've tried. I went through a long period of abandoning the sound which got me to where I am,
yeah,
because I wanted to make music that was cool. I wanted
hmm
to make the in thing. So I was making bass house, and then I was making all different kinds of genres,
yeah,
which really slowed me down in my career basically.
hmm
All these artists have their own sound, and I just abandoned my sound because
yeah.
I was chasing that hype. And but
How
nowadays
long is that ago?
I'm happy with where I am. I'm enjoying it again. This was probably like 2 years ago,
Hmm.
1 year, like after Ecuador and stuff, because I started getting a lot of the shows from that song. And obviously I'd never DJ'd before. I just got thrown in at the deep end.
Really?
Had a few bad issues with that.
Wait,
Uh,
let's go back to the beginning because I really have no clue how you started.
yeah,
You mentioned the club. That was when you were 18. So how old are you now?
18. I'm 25 now.
Dude, 25. Holy shit. You're young.
But yeah, the thing is, like, so I discovered Big Room, and that made me feel things like I'd never heard in music before. Like it was crazy. So then, obviously, naturally, I wanted to download more music in this style.
Hmm
And when you get all these songs no one else has heard, you think you're a DJ. You're like, oh, I should be a DJ now. So I get the equipment, start practicing. I played to like 10 people in my university flat on a party sometimes.
hmm
Never played in a club before. I think got very lucky with Ecuador, which got signed to Spinning, which was a Spinning
Was
main
that
release.
your first release of all of them or?
I had I signed a track on Revealed on the ADE sampler,
Hmm
and I think the next year or like 5 months later, that's when I signed Ecuador, and from then like everything changed. I got another track on Spinning with Vinay, and I kind of worked with that hype and I kept it going. But then the shows started to come in, and
Yeah.
because I think naturally I'm quite a shy guy,
hmm
so coming to these clubs, like one was in the top 100 clubs in Switzerland, and I turned up there with one USB, and there was 20 songs on it. That's it. I
Like
planned
fully prepared.
exactly what I was gonna play, and I had everything, man. Like 150, then I had some like trap, and I was booked to play Ecuador kind of songs.
hmm
Now I would love that, but at the time I didn't really know. So the guy went and told my manager. He said he's killing the floor. He needs to start playing harder, like more EDM. So I just panicked. I said, I don't have anything else. This is all I have on my USB. And I could not look at the crowd the whole time. And honestly, that was one of the worst nights of my entire life.
I can imagine, yeah. Holy
And,
shit.
and then this continued because everybody I know started playing in these empty bars,
Hmm.
work their way up, and they're fine. They want to play. But when I got an offer of a show, I felt bad. Like I was looking, oh, there's 7 days left to this next show, and I wanted the days to go slower.
Oh, wow.
And I had this for a few years, but now it's the complete opposite. Like if I don't have a show, I feel really bad.
Yeah.
Like I love going to play shows now because obviously getting older and the experience just helped me through that.
Shit, that's a complete different story than what you normally hear, you know? Like,
Yeah,
exactly like you mentioned, normally people start like playing locally and then they build their way up. So they
yeah,
have experience before they even have a gig. But with you, like, within 2 releases, you actually got gigs, you know, because they were pretty big releases.
yeah,
Um, and you just have been put on the spot, like, here you
yeah,
go, do it.
yeah. Is that how you started playing in the empty bars and stuff?
Yeah, like I've
And
started.
Hollis for that.
Yeah, I started at the real bottom, as in playing at children's parties from 8 years old. uh,
Goals.
yeah, and I just gathered my own stuff, you know, like I took the hi-fi set from my grandpa and the speakers and just
See, yeah.
started collecting. And I didn't at first I didn't even have a mixer, you know. I had two regular CD players and I had to tap
Wow.
play and stop. Yeah, exactly.
And see, this is the dream story. I think I should start telling people this one.
No, no, man. Like
But
you have a completely unique story. Like it's something you don't hear that much.
I think it's good for people to see because I would honestly say I'm a lot different to everyone else. Like, there's no one in my family with musical
Mm.
background.
Hmm.
No one's ever had any interest or job in music.
Hmm.
All I did was picked up FL Studio. I'm really bad with computers, personally, um, with software and all that stuff. But I just found something I was super passionate in, and that was Big Room, and I just did it over and over and over again. And
So
obviously,
how did you? Because it's interesting. Like you didn't had any connections to music. Like no
no,
one in your family. You had no passion for computers,
no.
and still you managed to make those songs. Like what happened in between?
I think the only thing, because people ask me like, how do you get here? How do you do this? I say literally anyone in the world can do it, however old you are. I think the only thing I did have from a young age is creativity. I've always been creative.
Mm-hmm.
Like playing like Need for Speed on the PlayStation
Mm.
2. I would spend hours just making the car and making it my own, not actually racing.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of that from when I was young kind of carried on. And that's why I started making cool mashups. I started putting lots of different things together. And then naturally you start putting different samples together to make your own songs.
Yeah.
So I think for like young people starting out who haven't, like, you look at Zed and he can play all these instruments. He's natural, like musical person, but I had nothing, man. I treat FL Studio like a video game and just played it over and over and over and over again. And after 7 years, I turned out I was quite good at it.
Just spending the hours, you know, like doing the
That's it.
workouts.
Yeah, exactly. Basically that.
Yeah, I really believe in that thing, you know, like eventually practice makes better. Like the more you do it, the better you become.
Everyone says that, but it's some people who have a musical background, maybe they can play the piano. That is an advantage, and I'll never say that isn't an advantage. It's great if you
Yeah,
can.
but I must say at the same time, it blocked me. Like I started out the same as you, like no knowledge at all. My family wasn't connected to music in whatsoever. I didn't
Yeah,
play an instrument. I couldn't read notes. I did it all by hearing, you know, like I just listened to what I was making and I decided if I liked it just by listening to it. No technical stuff involved. Then I went to a music school where I learned to read notes, where I learned to hear about chords and stuff. And the more I got to know, the more it started to block me.
because you were working by the rules every time.
Exactly. Like somehow I created this rule book, you know, like this book of rules, which I had to implement, and
Yeah,
that blocked me creativity. That blocked my creativity because what sounded well but wasn't really okay technical scene.
yeah,
Um, I don't know, it just really blocked me, especially in the first year, you know.
Yeah, well, recently I decided that I wanted to make more of an effort and try and learn an instrument. So
Yeah.
I've had piano lessons. I
Mm.
would say like 8 or 9 piano lessons. Bought a keyboard, which is up there right now, which has not been used once. I had these pages of notes and stuff, and because honestly, like I want this so badly, I will do everything I can to make myself better. But it turns out I don't really work that way with like trying to force myself to learn things I'm
Yeah.
not interested in. And so I learned about the chords and stuff, and I never actually implement what I learned.
Hmm.
I just implement like if I make a cool melody, like my recent track, I'll know which notes work well together,
Yeah.
and I'll know which chords sound good,
Yeah.
and
That's
that
all
works
hearing.
for me. Exactly,
Yeah.
it's all just hearing.
Yeah. You know,
That's
I
all.
think that's really important what you touch on right now. Like knowing yourself, as in knowing how you are wired from the inside. Like, how do I learn? You know, like some people learn from books, some
Yeah.
people learn from videos.
Mm.
Some people need to know the theory behind something before they really understand how it works. Some people just do it and see what happens. You know, and I think that's I work the same way. You know, like I don't even want to know the theory. I just need to do it once, and I will
Yeah,
never forget it.
exactly.
Um, and I think like the more you know about yourself, to me as well, like I had the same path. Like I did a few piano lessons as well because I felt like I wanted to learn it,
Yeah.
but didn't like it at all.
Man. Yeah, I'm the same. I have to. I can do things in FL Studio and VSTs, but I can't tell you why these things happen. But I
Mm.
just know that I clicked it to the left 3 times once
Yeah.
a year ago, and it sounded good, so I'll do that.
And who
And that's
cares, you know? Like somehow, like I'm looking at your Spotify page right now. Somehow, your track gets 22 million clicks, 2 million clicks, 2 million clicks. Like people
yeah,
don't care.
exactly.
It's the same with a Ferrari. Nobody cares how it's built. They only cares how it looks like. Like how fast does it
That's a
drive?
good one. That's a good one.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's true.
that's
It
the way
is.
how I see it. You know, like nobody's interested in how they make it.
Yeah.
Of course, there's a few people, but there's mostly music producers. Like people.
The
Uh,
real fans, who aren't producers, like the ones who literally just care about your music, that they don't really care at
No,
all.
it's just the music part, like the music producer side, who are genuinely interested because they know what you're talking about. They're at the same level, you know, like they're professors in the art, like you
Yeah.
are.
I think honestly the only reason like I wanted to do all these things like piano and is because I looked at other people and compared myself,
Exactly.
and that was the worst thing. That's the number one. This is a tip. The number one worst thing you can ever do.
Yeah.
Um, I recently had to delete my social media from my phone.
Really.
I was looking at my friends, and I've always like looked at them and been really proud of them. But a few weeks ago, I was starting to think, why are you not doing that? Why are you not there? And I just had to take a week off and just really step back.
Hmm.
And I think it did help me a lot. But if there's anyone out there suffering the same kind of thing, just don't be worried about taking a step back from it all,
Yeah.
because I think we all do it. I think we all do it,
Hmm.
and it's a hard thing to get away from.
Yeah. It's like I don't think social media is a bad thing. Like, but I can totally see that it can become a problem to someone.
Yeah.
Um, it's addicting, you know, like of addictive. You know, it's. Yeah, I can totally relate to it. Like I don't really feel the stress of it, or I don't really yeah, I don't really notice any negative things from it.
Mm.
Uh, but yeah, I can totally see why people would, especially younger people, like who are still what's the right word in English? They're like an easier target
Yeah,
to yeah, to compare themselves with others and to feel like they're not special enough or something.
exactly. Yeah.
It's different, but yeah.
In the
Anyway.
past,
Hmm.
it was I would compare my stuff to Martin Garrix's music, and that would make me feel bad.
Yeah.
And now, if I don't have a show that weekend and my friends do, that would make me feel bad.
Yeah.
And but yeah, that's just life. Like
You never know
we,
how
we I just have to learn to.
Hmm. Sorry, there was
You
a
go.
delay on it.
Yeah, it keeps breaking up on my end.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh. Anyway, you never know. Like experienced the same thing. Like I've been in a period where I was also looking at other DJs, like how does he has so many tours, or why did he have a release on that label? And the problem is you will never know the answer. Could be anything.
Exactly.
Could be network. Could be the fact that it just was a better track, or just a track that the kind of genre that the label was looking for. Right moment, right time. You never know.
Yeah, exactly. It's true.
And the only one that you're really, the only one that's really struggling with it is you, because the other one doesn't even know that you're thinking about it.
Exactly. Like now, I just want to be better than I was last year.
Yeah.
So that's all I can compare myself to now.
So what's the main thing you changed for yourself in the mindset?
It's basically all I did was, when I had that period of comparing myself to my friends and stuff, all I did was look at my past, look at what we touched on before about my shows. My manager always actually does this. He's really good for this. Like, I've been a handful over the years, but he's very good at this. He'll say, what about that in 2017 when you couldn't even look at the crowd when you were DJing?
Yeah.
And now you've just played a festival for 10,000 people.
Yeah.
And that will just make me click. And I just wish I had his kind of mentality. But I think it's very rare to have a person who constantly has that much like positivity. So he has helped me a lot. Like, we've got a great team that we all work with. They all help me. And I think nowadays I just sometimes have to tell myself, look where you were 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And listen to the fact that there's some people out there literally would love to be in my position. And that's what I think about. Like, that's where I feel like extremely happy that I've actually been given this opportunity. So
it's really easy to forget all your successes, right?
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
People come up to me and say, people I haven't seen for a long time, yeah, oh, you're killing it right now, because they see all the good things. But I've seen the not so good things as well. So it kind of, they merge together, and I think, yeah, well, it could be better. But I should say, yeah, I'm really proud of myself.
Yeah. Have you ever tried meditation?
Well, I went to see a life coach, a therapist, and we did meditation and stuff. But it did help me a little bit. But I could never sit there and do it like for an hour a day.
An hour, that's too long for me too.
Did you do it as well?
I actually just recently started. Since the last 5 years, I've been going to coaches, and it just really helps me to work on my personal growth. That's important to me. And like since, what was it, last week, 2 weeks ago? I've had that Headspace app on my phone for a couple of months, and I completely went through the demo mode, so I was done, so I had to start paying.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, but you can only, there's like a monthly plan and a yearly plan, but I felt like, you know what, I want to have a new goal for myself, and I want to try it for at least a month, every day, to see if I notice a difference.
Yeah.
Because somehow every time I tried it, I liked the feeling, but maybe that was just the fact of taking 10 minutes of rest, like closing your eyes and not necessarily thinking about work or whatever. Yeah. Maybe that's just the thing, or maybe there's a different thing if you try it every day. So I've been trying it out for, I think, about a week now, like every day, and I'm planning to, at least do it a month.
Let me know how it goes.
Yeah, I will.
One time I was, the guy was teaching me about meditation and stuff, and I almost fell asleep every single time. I think with me, my head, it's very boom, 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 ideas all the time. If I'm sitting eating my dinner, I'll be thinking about melodies and stuff. I'm just that kind of person, I think. So really chilling out and relaxing is not really my kind of thing. Yeah. Although it did help on tour when I did try it. It really helped then. But now all I do is sleep on tour. So yeah.
Do you like touring?
Yes. In the past, obviously, I did not like it.
I can imagine.
There was one time where I was left in China. Somebody came with me, a photographer, and he had to go home. And that was just the craziest experience. I was so far away from home. It was in the very early days, but now, like, I can't get enough of it. Like, when I'm hungry, that's extremely hard. I'm
very
hangry. Yes, I get very hungry. That's
Yeah.
my issue. Um, but apart from that, just seeing the world, I never thought I'd be the kind of person who enjoyed traveling and stuff. But
Mm.
like, I'm obsessed with Asia and stuff like that. Just when I get back from tour, I feel so refreshed, like so ready to get back in the studio. So I think it's a really good balance for me.
Okay. Interesting. Maybe this is a tip for you. I had the same thing with the hangry stuff.
Yeah.
Always bring food that you can keep for like a year, as in peanuts, Snickers, those kind of things.
Yeah, last time I took loads of protein bars.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
had to take an extra case with me,
For the
so I could
food.
fit
Yeah,
all this food in and stuff.
yeah.
So
I,
yeah,
I had the same thing, like when you're traveling and the food is shitty or you just don't have the time to eat, I get really angry. So you just
yeah. Like for me, whoever I go on tour with, like my tour manager, will eat any food. Like he's not scared. But me, I have to eat only Western food. I'm not. I can't eat sushi
oh
and stuff. I'm just
really?
really not into it. So yeah, when I go places like that, my diet is really bad. So I end up coming back like really fat and like and sad because I've ate so bad. So that's something I need to really work on
Yeah,
uh, to keep doing this for a long time.
yeah,
Because obviously, being out of shape and stuff when you get home after eating all those horrible foods, it's just going to affect your work when you get home as
yeah.
well. So,
And do
uh,
you work out on tour?
um, not as much as I should.
Do you work
Uh,
out at home a lot?
I work out at home a lot, but because I started taking pre-workout,
Mm-hmm.
I, I have if I don't have it, if I don't have like a caffeine boost,
Mm-hmm.
I can't work out properly. So on tour, I can't really take a pre-workout with me. So
Ah,
yeah, sometimes I think yeah, I'll work out when I get home. But the times I have done it, it really does help to clear my mind. It really does
yeah,
help me.
I can imagine. Like to me, that were like two of the most important things: workout and healthy food.
Yeah,
And that
and
would
sleep
keep.
and sleep.
Yeah, and sleep. Yeah, definitely. Well, I can work with less sleep for a couple of days,
Yeah,
but food and workout is something that I just never felt like working out when I was touring. I just got lazy somehow because you're just constantly sitting and waiting, and your mindset is starting to somehow my mindset started to go down. Like I wasn't that energized,
yeah,
so I didn't feel like going for a workout at all. While when I would go, it would actually help me feel better.
yeah.
I just
Like
never did.
most of the time on tour, in the beginning, I would just want to sit in and watch Chinese TV, just sit in the bed and relax. But now my tour manager, he'll take me out places. We'll go shoot some pictures, and even if I'm super tired, I'm like in this complete different country, experiencing it all, and it honestly just it changes my mood from like this to this
Yeah,
instantly. So
can
like,
imagine.
yeah, that's a good one.
Let's go to the music.
Yeah,
Um, you've released your first main release on Spinning, right?
yeah.
And you've done release on Maximize and Revealed recordings as well.
Yeah.
How are you looking at releasing music right now? Because there's a lot of options right now available to release your own music. Like not necessarily used labels.
Mm.
Um, at the level where you're at right now, what's your opinion on that?
I think it is important to release on these big labels because they are a separate group of fans. Almost, you
Mm-hmm.
have fans of the label
Mm-hmm.
and you have like my fans. So I'll always drop free downloads and stuff. There was one track I didn't even send to a label. I just made it to give away.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very outdated kind of song, but I knew my fans from back then would really appreciate it. So I released it and it did really well. I got so much, not as many plays as a label release,
Yeah.
but I got a lot of appreciation from them.
And did you release it on Spotify as well, or just
Yeah,
SoundCloud?
I put it on Spotify and
Yeah,
SoundCloud,
yeah, okay.
and yeah, it did well. But when I release, like, there's a label which I haven't released on in a while, but when I announce that artwork for that song, people gonna go crazy.
Yeah,
There's something about that feeling where you've got these dedicated fans, and when you mention that you're gonna come back, that's a great feeling.
yeah,
And also, um, yeah, just getting there another side of fan base, another fan base. It's
yeah.
good. It's
And
positive.
how did you got signed at the first time with a big label, like with the Spinning release? How did that process go?
Well, it actually started. The first one was revealed, and basically, because my thing has always been making unofficial remixes. So my whole thing has been making bootlegs. That's how I got kind of discovered on SoundCloud.
I think I played a few of your bootlegs now that you mentioned
Yeah,
it.
nice.
I'm not sure which one, but I think that's where I know your name from.
That I used to love it, man. Like that's still the thing that makes me tick. Like that's how.
Is that
like,
how you started building your fan base?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just by bootlegs, because people are going to search for a remix of a big song. They're not going to search for an unknown artist's original mix. So that's how I targeted more people.
Smart move.
And basically, I got a few things played on Hardwell now. I don't know how they got picked up. I don't know where from. And then I got an email from Seb from Revealed saying, "Have you got any demos for the new ADE sampler?" So I like panicked. I was like, "Oh my god, where is my music?" And yeah, I made a song with two really talented guys, and I didn't do much of it. I did 5-10% of the work. I just did some mixing and stuff like that, and that track got signed. So that was my really lucky entry. And then it came with Spinning, and again, I think I was very lucky because I made this Ecuador remix in three or 4 hours, just one night, made the whole thing. And I got a DM from Sash, who made the original, saying, "Yo, who said you could remix this song? You have to have permission." I was like, "Oh man, like this is gonna go bad." And then I got an email from Spinning saying, "Oh, it looks like we're gonna release the Ecuador track." And I was like, "Wow, like this was a big goal for me."
But how did that track ended up with Sash?
Basically, Hardwell played it on Hardwell now.
Ah, okay. Yeah.
And what they tag both the artists, so we both got tagged in the tweet, and from there he DM'd me saying, "Yo," and I thought, man, but like a track which took me 3 or 4 hours was probably the most successful one I ever did.
Yeah. You hear that quite often, you know, that the most successful tracks take less hours. Could you explain do you know why that is like that? Like,
I think if you really know you have a sick idea, and especially when it's a remix or like cover of an old song, I already had this amazing hook from them.
Yeah.
Once I had that melody, I knew this was going to be a cool track, which a few DJs would play.
Yeah.
And I just made it. Just when I have a good idea, I can finish the song like that.
Yeah.
It's the cool idea which really it takes the time.
It's all from the heart.
Yeah, exactly. Everything flows.
I think that's the biggest difference, you know, like when you are able to finish a track in that short of time, I think that's because you're not really thinking about what you're doing. All the things that you're doing are coming straight from the heart without being filtered by the brain. Because when you start thinking about stuff that you're doing in music, you start to overthink. And that's where you start to break things down.
Yeah. Like with Ecuador, obviously I was making it as an unofficial remix that I would just put on SoundCloud, give away for free.
Yeah, just a bootleg, right?
Yeah, I didn't have these like label restraints. I didn't have to get on this label I need to have this kind of lead. I need this kind of BPM for that label. I just made it for free, and I think having that much like creativity just really helped me.
It's like it creative freedom, you know, like not feeling that you're in a genre box.
Exactly. Yeah, it's the freedom which allowed me. That's why when I make remixes now, I just have so much fun doing it. It's the same with another remix I did, which was going to be released on Tiesto's label. The same style, the same kind of thing. Took me like 4 or 5 hours, but we couldn't get it cleared. He didn't want to be a part of it, which is kind of shit. But same kind of thing. That's why I keep doing it now. I think it's great for people who start out because that's the best way to build a fan base. Still, in my opinion.
I recommend it to anyone who was getting started, but also when you're already at a decent level like you are, you know, like it's always a great tool to build a fan base, because every DJ wants to play a good bootleg because the crowd loves them, and the crowd is also going to look for remixes and they will find your track in it. So the knife cuts on both sides.
Yeah, I think those hype songs are really good as well. You see with the Bella Ciao one, Hardwell Maddox. Those kind of hype songs, if you can get on it really quickly and be in the first 1 or 2, then that's great for your career, even bigger than the label release sometimes. So.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So then you got your foot between the door with Revealed and with Spinning, and how did things go from there? Like, what did you notice that changed?
Well, first of all, it's extremely easy for me to get music to the people that needed to hear it,
Mm.
which I think was super important. I always wondered how do you get that first contact, but once you have it, it
Yeah,
becomes so much easier. You can get feedback,
yeah,
and they can tell you what works and what doesn't work. But I did start to feel a little bit of that box. I
yeah,
started to think, right now, let's look at the past spinning releases. And there was a cool bass house track released that last week. So I'll go and make one similar, but not knowing that this track was signed a year and a half ago, probably. So that was a bit hard at the start.
mm-hmm.
But as I got more and more tracks on there, I started to get more confident. I started to work with other artists on the label,
Mm-hmm.
and then I could just really make music from the heart again, and that box kind of slowly disappeared.
Yeah. I think that's something you hear a lot. You know, like getting your foot between the door is the hardest part. Getting that first contact.
Yeah,
And with you, it just happened by creating bootlegs, right? Like getting
yeah,
noticed
exactly. Yeah.
in some.
Obviously, nowadays SoundCloud isn't as powerful as
Mhm.
back then. But I think if you get a remix played at Tomorrowland main stage, it still has the same impact on your career.
Yeah, yeah, I believe that as well, man. So
Yeah.
what's something you're focusing on right now? What do you think? What do you think is something people should focus on right now in the industry?
I think people should focus on what deep down what they really enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
Like as I said before, I was chasing the hype train for a few years, which meant I got less releases and less shows even because of that. So I think like for me now, I know Big Room isn't where it used to be,
Mm-hmm.
but I enjoy making that genre and I'm good at it. So I'm gonna put everything I can into it to make a next level, more creative version of my sound. So I think if you're just starting out, you're gonna want to make the in thing. I know that. Uh, you're gonna want to chase the hype, whatever the biggest thing. Say right now, I would say it's kind of that housey kind of thing,
Mm-hmm.
bass house, like kind of club tracks. And if you're not really into that sound, you're never gonna be good enough to release on that label. You have to have that deep down. You have to be super into it because I can't do anything well that I'm not interested in. It's
Mm-hmm.
the same at school. Like I would only be good at the things I was interested in, like sports and stuff like that.
Yeah,
So it's the same with music. I think you have to take the time and think about what you actually enjoy
yeah,
and stick with it because one day it's going to become big again.
yeah, yeah. I believe that too. I had a talk with Bart Beamore about this actually. You know Bart Beamore, right?
Yeah.
And I had a talk with him because I knew him from my time, like when I was playing, and at the start of my career, he was going really hard because he had this track on Tool Room, and his sound was really new, you know. Like I'm not sure what the title was. Anyway, honest, so it goes. That was the track, and
Yeah.
that just went so big, you know. Like it actually exploded in England and stuff. Like he started touring.
So
Um, and then the industry changed, you know, like the sound changed and went more EDM, and he didn't like that at all, and he just kind of disappeared because he didn't like making it. And now
yeah.
he's coming back and totally refined himself, like still makes the same kind of music because he also noticed like I've tried different things, but this is just the thing I like, you know, this is me. And now he started releasing the same kind of music again, and it's really successful again because now he's signed with Stent.
Yeah, yeah. That's why I heard some of his recent stuff, but I knew his name from like really a long
Yeah,
time ago.
I think it's already 10 years or something that he's in the industry.
But I think that's very smart. Like I almost completely left what I was really into,
Yeah,
but what he did was step back. Very mature adult he is. He stepped back and took the time and came back. But for me, I was just like, whoa, what's cool right now? And I just went off.
yeah,
So I think that was like my immaturity back then when I was younger.
yeah,
I just wanted to chase what was cool. But I think the thing is, like, if you start making psytrance now, when psytrance has kind of had that slope, it's on its way down. You're not really gonna develop fast enough
yeah,
to kind of be at the top. But if you say you like hip hop, I don't know, like Moombaton, for example,
mm-hmm.
Moonbaton might come back in 4 years, and if you're at the top of that tree,
Yeah.
you're going to get all the bookings, you're going to get all the collab requests. You see it with Vinny Vici. They produce really good stuff for years, but nobody really knew about Psytrance. And now they work with Dimitri Vegas and Like Mike and all these people.
Yeah.
That's something I've really learned from just observing over the years.
And the thing is, when you're following trends, you will always go after the facts, you know, like you're always second because there's someone else being first.
Yeah, because you're looking at those people's tracks, and like you would look at a Mike Williams track in 2015 and be like, oh, I want that Future House sound, but you're never going to make Future House like him because he's already onto the next wave, and you're always going to be chasing that circle. So just stay where you are, and that circle will come back around to you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's true. And one thing to close off, what would be the thing you've learned the most in the last couple of years? Well, no, let me rephrase that. What's the thing you would like to have known before you started this whole thing that you know now?
I mean, that's a tough one because there is a lot of things.
What's the first thing that pops up in your mind?
One thing I wish I would have known is that money is not as easy to come by as I thought it would be. I left my job far too early, like very, very early. I thought it would be a lot easier because you see what kind of fees DJs get. But what I didn't realize back then was all the costs that you have. So one thing I would have known, hopefully would have known, is do not leave your job too early. Try and make as much time for it as possible, but don't expect to be making a full-time wage straight away. That has to come in time.
That's a really great one. I'm really happy that you touch on this.
Good. Yeah, because I think a lot of people have that same issue. Like, get asked all the time, how do you make money from music? Because as a producer, you cannot make money from music unless you are co-writing other songs, releasing samples, and all those other things. You need to have a DJ profile if you want to be a successful artist financially. Because we all want to do it as a job. That's what we all want. And you found a different route, something that you could also be in music. And that's the thing. You just have to sit and just don't jump the gun too early, I think.
That's a great one, you know, like what I always think as well, like you don't have to quit your full job all at once, you know, like there's a middle in that whole story, as in you can still work part-time, like do 3 days a week and do music 4 days a week or something. But the minute you get financial stress, because you need to pay rent or you need to pay the car or whatever bills you have to pay, financial stress is killing. Like it kills creativity, it kills your positivity, it kills everything. So I would recommend everyone as well to maintain a decent income as long as it's possible, like to combine it with your music. But I think most people quit too early because of their ego. Like they feel like they're there while they really aren't. I actually did the same thing, but to me, I was lucky because I was still living at my parents' place. Didn't really had any big bills every month, so it didn't matter to me if I only made $200 a month because I didn't have to pay anything. So, but yeah, I'm really happy that you touched on that because I think a lot of people are having that thought, you know, like I should quit my job because I have one gig in a different country. Don't do it.
Not at all. But the thing is that's a hard thing that like I kind of saw because I started to get a few shows, but then how could I keep a normal job and say, yo, I need to go to Switzerland, I need to go to China next week, you know? So, as you said, I was extremely lucky to have my parents like allow me to do this. Like they still want me to chase the dream, you know? So they're always going to be there for me. But yeah, I think it is important to keep some sort of income because even if you had a few shows one month, like say you play 5 shows, you think, I quit my job. And then EDM takes a downturn, as we've seen over the past few years. EDM has took a downturn. People have been getting less shows. What happens then? You've left your job. EDM's on a downturn. You're either going to chase the other sound, which we said before, which is it's just going to slow you back as well, or you're going to have to beg your boss to take you back.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would just try and hang in there for as long as possible.
Great. Well, thanks for being so open about everything, man. I really appreciate you talking about this kind of stuff, but also about the problems that you've been having in your career. Like, I think that's important. You know, it's not all great. Like all the things we see on social media, that's only the 1% of the whole career.
Exactly.
So yeah, thanks for being open and thanks for sharing all the like your whole story.
Yeah, I know a lot of people who listen to your stuff is people who want a career in this. So as people always ask me if I do a masterclass and things like that on YouTube, I'll always be honest because I think it is good to see the other side, and that's the only way you can really make it in this business if you really know everything.
Yeah.
Because we're telling everyone what we wish we knew, so they're all already getting that kind of upper hand. So yeah, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no worries, man. Thanks for taking time to do this, and best of luck with the rest of your career, man.
Thanks, man. Thank you.
Have a great night.